What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into Night Terror's First Blood issue number 1. With DC Comics kicking off their Night Terror event, it is all starting right here. This event is going to be taking over almost all of the DCU lines, from Batman to Green Lantern, from The Flash to Superman. We are gonna dive into the horrors that hide inside the nightmares of DC's greatest heroes. Coming from the writer Joshua Williamson, the artist is Howard Porter, the colorist is Brad Anderson, with this series spanning over the next 2 months ending in August. And if I'm gonna be 100% honest, I wasn't really sure how to think about this diving into it. When I first heard about the event taking over all the main titles for the next 2 months, I thought that this was a little bit excessive. And while I still feel that way, there's a lot of titles coming out. I'm going to be dropping a lot of money just to be covering this event. This issue number 1 actually has me really excited for what's in store. Now, if you guys want to make sure that you keep up on all of this, I will be setting up a playlist that will have all of the Night Terror lines. But this is exactly where you want to be. This is where you want to start it all. To continue this story on, I highly recommend that you check out my next video, which is Night Terror's Batman issue number 1. Now, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with John Dee, also known as Dr. Destiny. With John Dee sitting in this very lucid dream, everything quickly changes. His wife turning into a hideous monster, his children as well, quickly seeing that this is obviously not right. Something has gone sideways. Not knowing who is doing this, not knowing why, we see John Dee really come out, because dreams are his playground. And that is what this is. You cannot creep into the mind of Dr. Destiny and control him. And so Dr. Destiny calls out whoever is responsible. This is where it shows him the Hall of Justice, bringing him to the home of his old enemies. But the Justice League are now disbanded, and it will take a lot more than a haunted house to frighten someone such as himself. Going on to say that once he finds the Dreamstone and regains control of this realm, whoever is doing this will pay dearly. Walking by a painting of a terrifying Justice League, it's almost as if it comes alive. They all begin to attack him. Not sure how they're doing this, not sure if this is real or not. A voice calls out asking, where is the Nightmare Stone? And John Dee refuses to give it up, saying that this person can't have it, that nobody can. This is where we hop over to Deadman. And Deadman really gives us a brief reintroduction to who he is. I would assume that this is for the new readers. But this is Boston Brand. Now, Boston Brand, when he was in the land of the living, he was cruel, he was cocky, and he was uncaring. A fearless and death-defying showman. That is, until one day, an assassin's bullet had took him out of the air and out of life. That is when the goddess came to him, tasked him with an afterlife of hunting down his own killer and then helping others find peace and justice. Now, as Deadman flies around, what he runs into is Superman, the big blue Boy Scout, the last son of a world that had detonated. Of all the superheroes in the world, none of them match the power of Superman's heart. But as Deadman begins to observe, he senses a presence, one that isn't Superman, but one that is following him around. With Superman getting a call to the Hall of Justice, he meets up with Wonder Woman, Diana the Amazons, a living avatar of peace, but the greatest warrior to ever live. He is sensing that this presence, it is surrounding her as well. It's almost as if they are haunted as they make their way to the Hall of Justice. And Deadman is seeing that it's not just Wonder Woman or Superman. Whatever this is radiating from the Hall of Justice itself. Now, Deadman doesn't have the capability of communicating with the living, not without possessing a body. but he continues to follow our heroes. This haunting isn't coming from a ghost. It is coming from forces in another realm that are seeping into theirs. He knows that he has to warn them, as he continues to follow them, trying to hope that Superman might be able to see him. This is where they meet up with Batman. Now, the way Batman sees things when it comes to the Hall of Justice is that they should have closed this place down. Once Dick chose to rebuild Titan's Tower in Bloodhaven, they decided to open up the Hall of Justice to the public. But the reason that they are here today is because in a restricted area, the alarms went off, and no tourist could have gotten to this location. No one has access except for the Trinity. As they open up the door, this is where they find the body hanging of John Dee. Someone has taken Dr. Destiny off the board. Now, Dr. Destiny is one to use the Dreamstone to manipulate people's dreams and corrupt reality. He had fought the Justice League on multiple occasions. As Deadman observes the body of John Dee, he sees that this is something different. This is what he had felt, part of what is haunting the three of them. And whoever did this was searching for something. The Justice League trying to uncover what happened here. The last time they saw Dr. Destiny, he was locked up in Arkham Tower. And with Batman getting in communication with Harley Quinn, Harley Quinn more or less has been working with Batman from time to time, trying to turn over a new leaf type of thing. And right now she is at Arkham, and Dr. Destiny is there. He is having some kind of violent nightmare. They have no idea what is going on, but Batman says that he will be there in 15. That if this is magic, they should go get Zatanna. Deadman trying to stop them, he tries to jump into the body of Dr. Destiny, but he is unable to. So he goes to the nearest person. He jumps into the body of Batman. This is when he tells Superman and Wonder Woman to wait, that this is not magic, that the realm of dreams and the world of death are connected. They are related almost like a brother and a sister, but what he is picking up here is primordial. Someone is tapping into this, into something very powerful and very dangerous. This is where Batman tells Deadman to get out, essentially exorcising him from his body. Batman heard everything that he had to say. He was fighting off the control of Deadman the whole time, but he was also listening. Wonder Woman saying that this is not magic, but they're still gonna contact their magical sources. Superman is gonna head over to Supercorp and see if there is anything that they can figure out. And Batman, he is headed to Arkham, telling Boston that if he's still here to follow Batman. Meanwhile, in an undisclosed location, we have Amanda Waller. With her return, ever since she has came back, she has been doing some very odd things. But she is keeping tabs on everybody. Seeing that the Trinity has come back together, she knows that something is going down. As she continues to observe the situation, we pick up at Arkham Tower. John Dee on a gurney, calling out, letting everybody know not to fall asleep. That if he finds the Nightmare Stone, it will be the end of everything. And almost instantaneously, we see that John Dee dies. A huge surge of some kind of energy. Something in his dreams had just killed him. But Batman knows that John Dee's Dreamstone, it is locked up in the Hall of Justice. He is now left pondering, what is the Nightmare Stone? The real question would be where? As we see John Dee's body coming back to life. Someone has taken it over, letting Batman know that John Dee was a smart man. He hid the Nightmare Stone in the dreams of one of his enemies, telling Batman that maybe they can team up and they can find it together, but only after he's killed a few Robins to make sure that he is the new sidekick. As this individual goes in to attack Batman, throwing a batarang, it does absolutely nothing to this guy. This is where we see nightmare constructs in the waking world. Even Deadman doesn't understand how this is possible, telling Harley Quinn that she needs to run. They start knocking some heads and they hightail it out of here. Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice, we have Wonder Woman, Zatanna, and Detective Chimp. They are all investigating John Dee's body, or what they believe to be his body. As they observe it further, they see that this isn't even a body. This is a very powerful dream construct, something that you very rarely ever see in the waking world. This is where something passes through all of their minds. While Zatanna does her best to fend this off, we see all of our heroes getting hit at the same exact time. Superman flying through the air, this purple mist, it hits him in the head, and it causes him to go falling from the sky. From Nightwing to Joker, the Flash to the Ravager, all of our heroes are being hit. All of them are being trapped, with Batman putting out the call that this is a red alert to contain Arkham Tower. As we see Harley Quinn fall asleep, it comes for Batman. He tries activating his emergency protocols. The emergency protocol that is no sleep till Gotham. As adrenaline begins to pump through his body, giving him the energy, the surge he needs to push on, telling whoever is doing this that he will not fall, that he will not rest, that he will not sleep. But this is when young Bruce wakes up in the alley, in Crime Alley. Confused on how he got here, we see that his body, it lies limp. The dreams have taken him over. And Deadman, knowing that Batman is going to be upset, he has no other option. He possesses the body of Batman again. He fights off all of these lucid dream arachnids that are surrounding him. Now, normally, Deadman, he would crack a joke. He would make a pun. But since he's in the body of Batman, he is going to do what Batman does. He is going to smash some heads, and he is going to do the silent treatment. As he turns around, he sees the possessed body of John D. And whoever is possessing him is saying that they are very much similar. That Boston could be so much more than a hero. That his talents are wasted. That these bodies, these are mere toys for them to play with. And while the world slumbers, he is giving him the option to join him. To give Boston everything he has ever wished for. All he has to do is help him find the Nightmare Stone. To make the heroes pay for what they did to him. Because who is responsible? The person behind all of this. This is Insomnia. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are really getting a reintroduction to Boston. Just like we did in the first issue with First Blood. He talks about the days he was a trapeze artist. That he did it all for the gasps. He talks about the assassin's bullet. The one that took him out when he was mid-air. Right in the middle of his act. And he will be the first to admit that he had it coming. But he never heard the shot. He only heard the gasps. While everybody thought it was part of the show, the crowd had gone wild. The moment that Boston died was the greatest performance of his life. But now he is stuck, never being able to move on. Every day exactly the same. He is now the audience forced to watch everyone else live their lives. But with Boston getting us into the story, we are picking up exactly where First Blood had left off. Deadman possessing the body of Batman. Insomnia having Batman by the throat. Nightmares around them coming to life. Insomnia is telling Deadman that you can join me. That he will give him whatever dream he wants. And at first, Deadman believed Insomnia was a ghost. But he has come to understand that this is not the case. That he has been invading the dreams. You see, John D, or Dr. Destiny, he was so afraid of the Nightmare Stone that he hid it away. The question is, did he hide it in the waking world or within the nightmares of the world's greatest so-called heroes? But Deadman is a little confused, that if he is from the dreams, how is he here now? Asking what is he? And Insomnia truly believes himself to be the god of nightmares. This is where Insomnia sends the living nightmares after Deadman. Deadman taking the opportunity, he jumps bodies, leaving Batman's body and jumping into Insomnia. This is where he gets a glimpse of everything. The Nightmare Stone created so long ago by a sacrifice, a tormented hero, a long-lost case. Dr. Destiny had once possessed the Dreamstone. John D had stole it, manipulated it, turned it into something broken and twisted, and so he feared the Nightmare Stone. In his fear, he hid it away. And Deadman is getting a glimpse where all of this started. It all started at Arkham Tower. This all started during Lazarus Planet, when the Lazarus rain was coming down. When the Lazarus Island had erupted, the rain had been cursed with magic. It began to change people. One of those people is Insomnia. This is where Insomnia got his powers. It gave him the ability to spy on people's minds as they slept. First, it was just the others in Arkham, like Dr. Destiny. But then he started to spy on the heroes. As Deadman begins to dig deeper, he sees that there is something good in here, something pure, but it remains hidden, a brief memory of joy, and that is when Insomnia kicks him out of his body. Deadman is more than certain that he is nothing more than just a random guy, that this is no god of nightmares. This is a man that was locked up in Arkham, and just by chance, he ended up with these powers and abilities. Jumping back into the body of Batman, he knows that John Dee had been killed for the Nightmare Stone. And while he is dead, Deadman does believe that he knows somebody that knows about its creation. And so, in Batman's body, he hightails it out of here, jumping out the window and using the vines that are now around the city. At one time in his life, he was a trapeze artist. Now, in the body of Batman, he does all of this with great ease. Even taking note saying, say what you will about Batman, but the dude works out. That this is easily the most fit person he has ever possessed. Getting down to the ground, that is where he sees the Batmobile. And he knows that Batman is going to be furious. Furious that he took over the body that he is using as vehicle. But he couldn't leave Batman's body behind. And now he has some kind of idea on where he needs to go. On what he needs to do. And so with Boston taking off, Insomnia says to let him run. That the Nightmare Realm is slowly pulling him back. That without the stone, his time is limited. But he does rise up his sleepless nights. And these nights, they are going to search the land of the living. While Insomnia is in the dreams of all of Deadman's friends, they are going to scour high and low for wherever the stone might be. Now, Boston believed at first that this was just isolated to Gotham. He had no idea that nearly the entire world had been knocked out by Insomnia's wave. But there are a couple heroes out there that are still awake. From Tornado to Zatanna, they are all trying to stop Insomnia in other ways. They all have their own mission, but Boston has his. He needed to take this fight to his own home turf. He saw that Insomnia was created by the Lazarus Rain, and while most of the Lazarus resin had been wiped from the earth, Batman had kept a sample. And while Boston feels a little bit icky about using it, right now he needs the help. He needs some answers. This is what takes us to the grave of Wesley Dodds. As Wesley rises up, Boston is letting him know that the world is in danger, that there is a lunatic out there looking for the Nightmare Stone, that it is up to the two of them to solve this case, promising that once they solve this, he can go back into his slumber. Putting on his trench coat, grabbing his pistol, putting on his hat, we have the return of Sandman. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Batman aka Deadman and the Sandman. Almost immediately, Sandman knows that this is not Batman, that this must be some kind of ghost. And Deadman is thrown off, wondering how he even knows who Batman is. This is where Sandman goes on to tell Deadman that you are a ghost possessing the body of a man who dresses like a bat to fight crime. Not only that, but then he resurrects Sandman, who has prophetic dreams about crimes to come. And the idea of time travel and multiverses is the thing that you question. Telling Deadman, why don't you just get to the point on why you resurrected me? That you mentioned someone called Insomnia. So skipping over all the hows and whys, Deadman gets right into letting him know that Insomnia is a freak show moving within people's dreams, and people's nightmares controlling reality, making nightmares real, and really hates costumed heroes. But that he is after something called the Nightmare Stone. He had saw glimpses into Insomnia's mind, and he saw Sandman. Now he is wondering why. That is because Sandman has seen the Nightmare Stone. It was a case, one that has haunted him still to this day. There was a cult that claimed to worship some god of nightmares. At first, he thought it was like all the other cults, about sex and money. But then it took a nasty turn, giving a glimpse of the past, seeing bored rich people trapped in a golden cage of privilege. They felt that they were owed something greater, and then they stumbled upon something real, something that they would die for. As they get ready to make a sacrifice, Sandman comes in. He throws his gas out. He saves the man on the altar that is about to be sacrificed. This was early in his time as being a mass vigilante. He was young, he was foolish, and he was cocky. What he didn't realize is that this cult and that man that they were about to sacrifice, he was no pawn. He was their leader. He wanted to be the vessel. He wanted to make their nightmares real. And so we see him pick up the dagger and he drives it into his own chest. All of the cult members, they begin to drink a potion. And we see the Nightmare Stone beginning to manifest into the real world. But there was one big problem. This cult had been asking around for a death potion. That's how we learned what they were up to in the first place. They thought that they had made the ultimate sacrifice. Instead, they're gonna wake up in the morning with a headache because this was his own sleep concoction that they took. And so that one lone sacrifice, it wasn't enough to bring the Nightmare Stone into reality, and it faded away. After that, he's not sure where it went. He asked the other members of the Justice Society if they had ever encountered anything like this. They had never heard about it. But there was something about this case. Dr. Fate had once told him that it was an item that bridged the waking world with the dream world. That anything of this manner would be extremely dangerous, especially if it fell into the wrong hands. With this information, Deadman says that he should probably put Sandman back into his grave before he decides to start craving brains. But Sandman says that this is a case that haunted him, that he feels a certain responsibility to finishing it. So wherever Deadman goes, Sandman is going with him. This is when they get an alert from Terrific Tech. They need all hands on deck. As they go to take off, Deadman is curious. That cult, was there any of the members that are still alive? The way Sandman sees it, that was ages ago. They would all be long dead by now. But this is where we pick up with that cult leader's son. Now an old man sitting dreaming, taken under the spell by insomnia. We see him lavished with everything that he could ever want. More wine, more grapes, more gold, more girls. But we also see the arrival of Insomnia. And Insomnia tells him that his father would be proud. But his father has been dead for almost 80 years. And this is something that Insomnia knows. But he also knows that his father tried to capture a piece of living horror. And so now he is asking the son, where is the Nightmare Stone? But he goes on to say that his father's actions with the cult ruined the family name, that he built all of this by himself. Insomnia thinking this is rather funny because this kid had a $20 million trust fund. But with him not having any information for Insomnia, Insomnia takes a bag of coins and shoves it down his throat. We see him explode and all the coins go in all directions. The Nightmare Stone is not here. Hoping that maybe Deadman is having better luck, he sends his sleepless nights to go find Deadman and see if he has picked up any kind of trail. This is what takes us over to Terrific Tech. Red Tornado meeting up with what he thinks is Batman. But Boston quickly corrects him, lets him know that this is Deadman, with Red Tornado looking rather disappointed. And it's not necessarily a problem he has with Deadman. They just need all the help they can get. Having Batman on deck would have been a great help to them. Nearly every single person in the world fell asleep at the same time. And while the robots are out here helping, now it's a question if they wake up. This is where we see Mr. Terrific in a tank, one of the smartest people in the world. While they have no idea what he could be dreaming of, Red Tornado is letting them know that it is so much worse than you guys think. They show readings of everybody's mind that are sinking deeper and deeper into the comas. The longer the world spins in the nightmare realm, the less connection they have to their bodies. Eventually, none of them will be able to wake up. This is where Deadman has an experience. When he had tried to jump into the body of Insomnia, it left them connected in a small way, and so he can still see the nightmares. This is what takes Deadman to Arkham Asylum yet again, but before the Lazarus Reign. We learn that Insomnia's real name is Mr. Lucas. They're trying to keep him awake today so that he can have some socialization. This is where they wheel him in to John D. The two of them both sitting in front of a chessboard. On the news, Insomnia hears that the Justice League died. For a moment, this gives him joy, but then he hears that the Justice League has returned, alive and well. And this makes Insomnia absolutely freak out, wondering why they get to come back from the dead. Why not everybody else? What makes the Justice League so special? This is when they jab him with a sedative, saying that he needs to go back to sleep, that he is too dangerous to be kept awake. Deadman not sure what is happening here. All he knows is that they kept him asleep. Now he's curious onto why that is. When he comes to, Sandman is asking what he saw. And what he saw was Insomnia frustrated. He is still trapped inside the nightmare realm, and he is not having any luck finding the Nightmare Stone. This is when Sandman connects the pieces that if they are connected, that means Insomnia might know where you are. That's when the lights go out, and that is where the sleepless nights arrive, with Deadman calling out to Red Tornado, telling him to call in for the backup. But Sandman tells him to wait, because there is more going on here than they can see. This is where we cut over to just the head of Red Tornado, ripped completely from his body by the sleepless nights. And now they come for Deadman and Sandman. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Deadman and Sandman. Deadman currently possessing the body of Batman. They are fighting against the Sleepless Knights. And while this conflict is ongoing, we see that Mr. Terrific is still in his tank. But the Sleepless Knights have no reason to go after him. Insomnia has instructed his Sleepless Knights to only go after those that are still awake. And this is because he sees it as them rejecting his gift. As the two of them flee for their life, this is where we have the arrival of Damian Wayne. Now, we had seen that it was possible he might have still been awake. He went to go get some training, to train his mind to stay awake as long as possible. And we are seeing that that actually worked. As Robin jumps into the fray, he takes on the Sleepless Knights. And in this moment, Deadman has never been happier to see Robin, as Robin lays a smackdown on the Sleepless Knights. Sandman has to ask, "How old are you?" But Robin tells everybody to get to the roof, not being one to normally cut and run. With the bat plane waiting for them, they make their evac. This is when Deadman, possessing the body of Batman, goes over to him and thanks him, saying that your father would be proud. But Robin's not particularly happy to see Batman. He knows that someone or something is possessing him. He immediately assumes that this is some kind of demon, and so he tells Deadman to get out of his body. This is where Robin sees that it is Boston, and Boston is surprised that he can actually see him. But Robin has dealt a lot with death, and because of this, this allows him to see Deadman. This is when he goes into detail on how he is still awake. He had had a nightmare about Insomnia. With Insomnia wanting him to forget, he trained his mind to control his dreams. But he also mastered the art of staying awake. He utilized every single meditation technique that he had ever learned. The whole world has been asleep for a few hours. But for him, this feels like he has been awake for weeks. This is how difficult it is to fight off Insomnia. But Deadman knows that they must find the Nightmare Stone before Insomnia does. To do this, they must know what Insomnia knows. With Deadman having a connection with Insomnia, he takes a peek inside. He knows the risk of doing this. but the sleepless nights have already been on their tail anyway, so he goes ahead and he takes a peek. This is what shows us a small glimpse of Insomnia's memories, a survivors meeting, and we have Insomnia, his name being Christopher. At this meeting, he is letting everybody know that he hasn't slept in days. He does everything to keep his eyes open. Now, whatever happened to him, it was very traumatic, and this is repeated in his brain over and over every single night. He sees it happen. He sees it whenever he closes his eyes. And many here can sympathize. They're here to listen and support him, and they are hoping that one day he might be able to forgive the Justice League. Now, we still don't know what the Justice League has done to make Insomnia this person. No matter that, he has no intention of forgiving them, as he grabs a coffee pot and he smashes one of the people's heads in. Grabbing a shard of glass, he begins to hack away. He tells them that they will all know what he knows. He wants to open up everybody's eyes. And to lead by example, we see that Insomnia cuts out his own eyelids. He vows to never sleep again. Not until the Justice League pays. And this is when Deadman snaps out of it. He knows that Insomnia is growing frustrated, that he can't find the Nightmare Stone. And that is because it is not in the nightmares. And it's not in the waking world either. He hid it away from the land of the living. This is when Robin deduces that it must be between the waking and dreaming worlds. And this is where Sandman comes into play. He had developed a special sleep gas. Over the years, he had experimented with different formulas and different concoctions. Some of these could put people into a coma. Others could manipulate the dreams and nightmares. The formula that he is about to give them will put them not in a state of awake and not quite dreaming. And so, using the gas, we see the two of them dropped in the in-between. As they fall into this, we see the body of Batman and the body of Damian Wayne. They are currently hooked up to the system so that Sandman can keep tabs on their vitals. And as they drop in the in-between, what is referred to as the hollow, but it's also been called the reality stream. The space that we see out of the corner of our eyes. What they see is how their minds are processing this place. And as they're in here, they see the landscape begin to change. They come up to a wooden shack, Deadman being one to visit the House of Secrets and the House of Mystery. This shack is the House of Horror, and Deadman knows that they are closing in on the Nightmare Stone. He can feel the power. He can feel as if the stone wants to be found. This is how he could feel that Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman were being haunted. The Nightmare Stone wants Deadman to find it. And as they make their way through here, what they see is the body of Deadman. That fateful night when that assassin had shot him. This is showing him the lies that he tells, because Deadman has always told people that he was dead before he hit the ground, but that was never the truth. He felt the bullet. He felt the impact, with Damian wondering why the Nightmare Stone would show them this. But Deadman already knows. This is a test. Just like when Sandman had stopped the cult leader in his time, to possess the Nightmare Stone, it takes sacrifice. This is where Deadman has to tear into his own body, ripping away at the chest, pulling the ribs apart. Deadman reaches inside of his own body, and when he pulls out the Nightmare Stone, this is what brings them both back to the waking world. We see in the hands of Batman is the Nightmare Stone. He says that they can finally stop insomnia, but he also adds that when they stop insomnia, his dreams can finally come true. Gang, we are picking up at Arkham Tower. It is hour 7 of the nightmare. We pick up with Damian, Sandman, and our Batman, currently possessed by Deadman wielding the Nightmare Stone. Now, Deadman knows that the body of Insomnia is lying asleep in Arkham Tower. The Nightmare Stone whispers to him, leading him the way to Insomnia. He believes that it wants him to purge the powers from his body and free everybody from his control. And so, as they make their way through the next doorway, what they see is not what they expected. Everything looking so clean. no monsters. They immediately assume that this has gotta be a trap, that any minute someone is going to jump out at them. But with nothing happening, they go up the stairs. As they begin to make their way up, we see a conversation between Batman and Damian, telling Damian that I want you to know that I am very proud of you, with him saying that it's not Boston, it is in fact your father. The Deadman had left the body to go up ahead and scout what's going on. He tells Damian that you don't have to keep going, that we can go home now, father and son finally together. This is where Damian drives a sword into Batman's stomach. He knows that this is not his father. This is in fact Insomnia, with Sandman waking up Damian. He had fallen asleep while walking up the stairs. The closer that they get to that room, the harder it is to fight the sleep. But they are able to get into that door. They get to the body of Insomnia, a killer who refused to sleep, so the press had called him Insomnia. Locked up in this place, the doctors had forced him to stay asleep. But now with the Nightmare Stone, Boston plans to break him free, to get rid of this nightmare once and for all. As he jumps in, he jumps to the past of Insomnia. In Gotham City, we see a Insomnia by the name of Christopher, a regular everyday guy headed home, and we see that they are big fans of the Justice League, of the heroes themselves. He had come home early because there was some kind of disaster, the Justice League fighting another monster down the street. They said that they needed to evacuate, but he believed that the Justice League had this all taken care of. But Insomnia was wrong. With a huge boom, a giant explosion, his house is ripped apart. In a matter of seconds, his entire life ripped away from him. Digging through the rubble, he finds only the remains and the dead bodies of his family. In that moment, he was left wondering, where is the Justice League? This is what Insomnia saw every time he closed his eyes. Every time he would have a dream. This is where we see the true Insomnia and Boston going toe-to-toe. Insomnia letting us know that the Justice League was too busy fighting evil Batman. They were too busy saving the world to save his world. His family was his reason for living, and in the blink of an eye, they were gone. And so Insomnia sees the heroes as part of the problem, that half the time they create the danger. And so the death of his family being his nightmare, the Justice League made it a reality. And now Insomnia wants to return the favor, but he wants the whole world to see them how he does. Not as heroes, but as horror, with Boston using the Nightmare Stone. Insomnia lets us know that he wanted him to bring the stone to him, and while the stone takes a great sacrifice to use the stone, Insomnia already planned for this. If you die in the nightmares, you die in real life. And so Insomnia cuts his own throat. In real life, his body also dies. And this is where Boston recognizes that he screwed up. Now the rest of the world begins to wake up. That is a good thing. Batman coming to, finding himself at Arkham Tower, looking out the window, seeing that the world has turned into a nightmare. But he is not in the nightmare realm. Damian by his side, letting him know that this is the real world, and they lost. Deadman thought he could use the stone to stop Insomnia's powers, to wake everybody up, but that is exactly what Insomnia wanted. This was never about just the Nightmare Stone. He wanted the nightmares to be real. He wanted all the nightmares to be real. And now with Insomnia having the Nightmare Stone, he plans to show the world exactly what the Justice League is. And this is where we see the three nightmares from Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman now in the real world. And they have come to bring the terror. Alright gang, our story starts us off with the Nightmare Realm coming to the real world. Across the globe, nightmares have been unleashed. The nightmares take the form of the people everybody thought would protect them. The heroes they thought would bring safety. And now that Insomnia has the Nightmare Stone, he can make the world as he wants. The world will know exactly what he knows. That people with powers dressed up in colorful costumes are terrifying. They will see what the nightmare world has done to him, what the heroes have done to him, and they will fear them. And with Insomnia sticking to his word, he brings Boston a family, the Dead family. telling him to take the gift and be at peace. Boston going into a trance, he's taken in. Meanwhile, the rest of the Justice League are fighting against all of these nightmares. And while the Justice League does everything they can to fight him off, to take down his nightmares, all of our heroes, they see that all of these nightmares seem to be drawn here, thinking that maybe Insomnia is not in control as much as he thinks he is. And if he is not, then who is? This is where they try to reach out to Deadman, but Boston is deep in his little own dream, sitting here with his family. Sandman is the one to snap him out of it. And now Deadman has joined the fight. As Deadman goes in on Insomnia, the two of them begin to battle. Batman telling everybody to get back to where this started, the nightmare construct of John Dee's body. Superman, he clears a path. Any of the sleepless nights that stand in their way, we have Zatanna and we have Cliff that are taking care of them. Wielding her new sword, she is definitely making an impact. But picking back up with Boston and Insomnia, the two of them battling, one of them trying to take the stone, the other trying to hold on. Boston telling him that nothing is going to bring his family back, that what he does now doesn't honor them, begging him for them to work together and stop all of this. This is when Insomnia grabs Boston and splits him in half. But with the Justice League getting back to John Dee's body, that is where they find the Dream Stone, hoping that this might be able to counter the Nightmare Stone. That is where Sandman picks it up, being the one that believes he could be able to control it. This is where our heroes get twisted and turned. Insomnia coming in with the Nightmare Stone. As the two of them get ready to face off, we have the return of Boston, saying that faking his death was his whole act. That Insomnia is no longer a nightmare, he is just a ghost. And we see a gateway open up, Deadman dragging Insomnia with him, the Nightmare Stone appearing to go as well. With a giant flash, they disappear. Before Boston had gone, Sandman was trying to tell him that the Dreamstone could save his life. But it is time for Deadman to move on to a new adventure. Sick and tired of being the audience, there will be no more watching the living for Boston Brand. Picking up with Insomnia, he finds himself back with his family. But this isn't the family that he knows and loves. This is the nightmare version of his family, the zombified version of his family. And we watch as they rip him apart. Returning to our Justice League at the Hall of Justice. The day has been won. The world is safe and secure. Everything is back to normal. And with everything now being done, it is time to put Sandman back where he belongs. The League telling him that they will store the Dreamstone in a safe place. But the Nightmare Stone is gone again, with Deadman being placed back where he belongs. This is where Batman passes out. Not sure what's going on with him, but he falls asleep. And Batman stays asleep for the next 8 weeks. His story will continue on in the Gotham War. This is what takes us over to Amanda Waller. The impact that Insomnia did was heavy. The world saw superheroes as great and fantastical things. But now, after witnessing what they could become, the world right now, they are more scared than they have ever been, seeing their biggest fears turned from their greatest heroes. This has helped Amanda Waller and this organization that she works for. This has accelerated their timeline. The tide is turning against the heroes. The public is slowly realizing that heroes are dangerous. But Insomnia did more than this. They got a gift, the Nightmare Stone. Bright was able to grab hold of it. This, along with the helmet of hate that they found on Lazarus Island, they hand it to a mysterious individual, somebody that the heroes know and trust. They take the helmet of hate and the Nightmare Stone, and they merge them together. With this new merger, we have the arrival of Dr. Hate, and Phase 2 of Amanda Waller's new plan has begun. The Justice League is feared by the world, which means Dr. Hate's target is the Titans. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. All in all, definitely not a bad end to this whole little event. It's nice to see Boston Brand moving on to bigger and better things. While I have been a huge fan of him as Deadman, it is nice to see that he's gonna be something new. He's gonna be something different. We don't know what is in store for him, but there is definitely change in his future. I'm very curious on who this new individual is, Dr. Hate. It's obviously somebody we know because Amanda Waller said that your friends and family aren't going to like this. Most likely some kind of magician, but the reveal on that is going to have to wait. Meanwhile, we are seeing Amanda Waller show her face again. I'm very curious on why they even brought her back to begin with. She had Earth 3, she had her heroes, it was sealed off from all the other multiverses. Why has she returned? Where is her crime syndicate? Where is her made-up Justice League? And why is she so adamantly back on Earth Zero? Why is she working for this organization? There are so many questions that just haven't been answered yet. We just know that she is working in secret, she is back, she is returned, but there is no word on what happened on Earth 3. She battled so hard, so long. Even part of me was agreeing with what she was doing, but now that she has returned, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you go through everything that you did just to be back here on Earth Zero? But nonetheless, we are soon gonna learn exactly what she's up to. The Nightmare Stone, apparently so easily taken, melded together with the Helmet of Hate to bring us Dr. Hate. All in all, not a bad story. Definitely the individual stories of our heroes, their greatest fears, their nightmares, that was the best part of this. The main storyline actually wasn't that great in comparison to the individual nightmares all of our heroes went through. That's really where this event had thrived. I, for one, am happy that Night Terrors is finally over. We get back to the main issues. Everything going on with the main titles. Pushing our stories forward, like the Gotham War, which if you haven't checked out, it was the video I just posted. So go check it out, cause that story also has a lot of promise. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories, if you would like to get completely caught up on everything that happened with Night Terrors. Be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on with this entire event. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.